Welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. I'm your host, Dr. Jane Mountrose, and I'm here with my wonderful friend and co-host, Gretchen Comer. We're both spiritual coaches and guides and many other things too. And we're here to support our community of like-minded people with blessings of love and light for all of us to share with the world. Today, we're going to do something. It always feels special. Something special. We're going to embrace the energy of the new moon in Aquarius, which was on Friday. And it's interesting because the days around any new moon feel particularly energetic. They can be somewhat difficult. And this one is more challenging probably than most because it's also a supermoon, which means that it has more energy. So in general, new moons are times for opening to new opportunities, for planting seeds internally and physically, as I understand it. It is also a time where we can explore what the specific meaning of the moon that we're in means, as we're doing with this new moon in Aquarius. And when we do that, we can become very specific in our focus because the energy of the new moon is the energy we're being invited to bring in the next couple weeks. So we can benefit even more from it with this specific focus. And this one is really exciting, as you'll see. As usual, we'll have a conversation. I don't know, maybe we'll draw an oracle card. We haven't really decided exactly. And we will also have a meditation for amplifying this energy with the loving guidance of a very special archangel who we haven't had on this channel very much, and I'm looking forward. Anyhow, stay tuned. We're happy you're here. And one last thing, well, two last things, or first things, I guess. I just want to thank everybody who is here. I should put up the chat so I can see what's happening here. Okay, here we are. And I see Babs is here saying hello. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you too. If you're new, please say hello and let us know where you're from. Wherever you are, whoever you are, feel free to comment, ask questions, offer insights. They're valuable for everyone, and enjoy. The final thing, or the final first thing, is to take a moment to breathe and bring our energies together. So for this, we just invite in the most amazing light you can imagine from the universe around you. Love, light, happiness, gratitude, peace, whatever, anything that resonates with what you wish to inhale to bring into your being. So breathing in just a few nice breaths, full breaths. And as you exhale, you can release, just releasing any energy you don't need in this moment. And just noticing with a few simple breaths that it's likely that you feel more present in your body in the moment now than you did before. I know I do.
Me too.
And it is wonderful to have that intention of coming together in this way. So with that, I'd like to ask Gretchen to get us started with some of your insights on this new moon in Aquarius that we're experiencing right now.
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, it's been a lot of energy I've noticed myself, and the new moon is always the beginning of a new cycle for the moon. So it's interesting that energy that it's almost like spring coming in, it's that fresh new energy that comes in. And in particular with Aquarius, being in Aquarius this time, it's asking us that we kind of break out of those old beliefs, those old patterns, let go of those old modes that are no longer working for us. And it's really about stepping into like a new paradigm, leaping, like we
Mhm.
had talked beforehand here. It's like leaping into the unknown. And it's a beautiful time to really start planting the seeds of what it is we want in our life. And the interesting energy of new moon is it really does, like I said, start that cycle. So each day we're moving away from the new moon, we're actually building an energy. So, and right now, because it was a perigee, which means it's closer to the earth than normal, there is an influx of energy. It's almost like exerting more pressure on some level to release those
Mhm.
patterns, release those beliefs and those things that no longer serve us. So I find it's really interesting in this particular time because it supports us. If we're following along with this particular moon phase like we're doing today and aligning with it, we're actually making it easier on ourselves because we are aligning with that
Right.
energy, that new energy, instead of, so this isn't a time necessarily to complete things. It's a time to start new things. It's a time to bring some of that fresh new energy into your life as we're working towards the full moon. And each day that you are focused on those things that you want, they increase in energy. So you're adding a little bit of energy each day to that. And where it culminates is at the full moon. And so each day for the next couple of weeks that we can think about those things we want, we're actually aligning more effectively with the natural energy of the universe. And it just makes things so much more effortless, and it makes it so much easier when we want to start those new things. So I think it's exciting. It's an exciting
It
time
is.
to just
Mhm.
tune into that energy and all of the wisdom and gifts that the sign of Aquarius really gives us, which is about communication and about thinking what we want and about putting that energy into what our soul truly desires, and moving
Mhm.
away from the mass consciousness of what we've been
Right.
told we should be or should become or should do in our life, to really look inward and figure those things out for ourselves and use that as our guiding force, essentially. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's exciting.
Right. Oh, yeah, and I think especially because that's the time we're in too, and it
Mhm,
is interesting, it is we're moving into the age of Aquarius,
mhm.
which
Yeah.
is overall, a an energy of freedom, of what you were saying, of moving beyond the mass consciousness thought
Mhm,
forms, all of those expectations of how life, quote, "should be" and always
mhm.
has been, to just let go of that. I did a reading for myself on the new moon, and the card that came up uh, to provide an overview was the Fool in the Tarot, which is, you could say, the dreamer. It's the card. It's the very beginning of the journey. So we're at a starting place for a new journey, if we want to, if we
Mhm,
are willing to, as you suggested, embrace
mhm.
that.
Right.
And I think that it is exciting. There's a youthful spirit about it. It's
Mhm,
inventive and
mhm,
creative. It is Aquarius is an air sign. It's about how we think about things. So it's a time to think about how we think about things, because
mhm.
a lot of times we think about things just like we do things because we've always done them. Well, we
Right.
think in certain ways because we've always thought that way. And it's
Mhm.
not like we tell ourselves, well, I need to do this because I always thought that way. It's because we have programmed ourselves,
Right.
or we have been programmed by our environment to view life in a certain way. Well, what if you don't have to do that?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because you can play with it a little bit when that comes up instead of getting like attached to maybe some feelings. If you have, you're thinking something that's somewhat negative, it's a good place to stop and kind of pull back and go, huh, why do I feel that way? Why do I think that way about myself or about this situation? And just do some general self-inquiry. I think it can be playful. You can just look at it like it's a puzzle to be figured out. Why do I do that? Why,
Right.
why? And then that's good because that's going to help you understand on a deeper level, like, oh, this is because this is just what I've always done. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's where you can let those things go, and open up to a new perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if a perspective isn't the most, quote, natural thing for us. Maybe if we're pretty introverted by nature, which I am essentially. I have very introverted characteristics. We can be more bold. We can be more powerful. We can believe that more is possible for us. And I think when it gets to this kind of a point, something I always like to mention is things that people often say to us with coaching and healing, and also recognizing I do it myself, is we tell ourselves, well, blah, 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 blah. This is just the way it is. It's always stressful. Everybody's always too busy. This is just the way it is. As if it is, it's written in stone, or I don't know what the phrase is, something in stone. And the other one, this is just the way I am. And I think those are both really important areas to look at. Like, what do you tell yourself along those lines? Like, this is just the way life is, what do you expect? You think it's going to be different?
Yeah, I can feel that when you say that. It's like, oh, ugh. Yeah. I don't like that at all. I could feel that when I ask myself both those questions, or say that, like, oh, that's just the way I am. And I think, oh, I don't, but I don't like that,
Right. And you don't have to accept it.
Right. Yeah. But it's amazing how you can just tune into your body and feel like how that feels in your body. And it's not a good feeling, it feels very, very limiting. Yeah.
Right. It is. Limiting. Well, it is. That's the thing. And these are generally programs. I think when we look at reinventing life, really, we have to be talking about reinventing ourselves. This is just the way I am. I've always been a slow reader. I've always been, whatever. And some of those things may be just what someone told you, and they may not have known what they were talking about. But if they were an authority in your life at a young age, you would believe them. And it's been, this is just the way I am ever since. What if someone said, well, gosh, you're the most creative, inventive person around, and you always have these brilliant new ideas, and you say, this is just the way I am. Actually saying that, my posture goes, oh, yes. I'll take that. Well, we should be able to decide what sentences do we want to use for that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. And it really does kind of help you get in the right track of mind, right?
Frame of mind, yeah.
Right, frame of mind.
Yeah, we're having trouble with our sayings today. And when you give up the mass consciousness and old ways of doing things and saying things, then
yep, it's a free for all. Yeah, I think it gets you in the right frame of mind though, and so you can move forward feeling lighter about about that, and thinking, well, it's always good to say, okay, it's going to be this way, but what if it isn't? What like you have said,
it has always been this way.
Right. But what else could be possible? Like you've said so many times, I love that. It's one of my absolute favorite questions because it's applicable to just about any situation. And it has helped me expand into a deeper perception, and a new perspective, when we're faced with something challenging, or we're looking at our self-defeating behaviors or our self-defeating, mental chatter. I think it's important to say, but what else could be possible for me, It's an easy question. It's a really simple question that can lead you on a whole beautiful, different track, and really open you up to what's possible, especially in times when you're aligning with these energies, the new energies. Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That is, from everything I can tell, and there are different ways of saying it, I suppose, it is one of the most powerful questions you could ever ask yourself. If you think any kind of a pattern of behavior or even a health pattern is likely related to some kind of an invented reality. There's a reality invented around it. And if we say, well, gee, you know, I've always had asthma, but you just open into a place of pure potential, we call it, and ask what else might be possible. You know, is there a life is there a you that doesn't have asthma? There probably is. And well, we, like I said, we have a whole healing system that is framed around it. And the thing is, it's so incredibly simple,
right,
that it's hard to believe, you know, it's like, because it's very different from what we're told. But if you look at that idea of particles and waves, we're generally in that place where things have become solid, or kind of crystallized, you could say, you know, where this is our position, period. And some people are very proud of that, which is interesting. If you allow yourself to rise in vibration to a place where there is no assumption or agenda around that topic, then the particle has the opportunity to become a wave, which can reform itself into something that's completely different.
Right. Yeah, that's really fascinating too. I mean, we could prove that with science. That's what's so fascinating about it, you know, actually. And the question though, you know, what else could be possible is it's such a freeing question, you know, and like you said, it's so simple that it really it stirs your curiosity, I guess you could say, to see what else is possible. And you know, a lot of us, when we're raised, you know, and in society, we're not taught to ask questions like that. You know, I think that's not necessarily something that people use all the time. So for me in particular, years ago, when I first heard you all say that, I felt like that was really eye-opening, and something that I continuously use, you know, I use daily essentially in my life. And even in the most ridiculous times where, you know, the answer is probably one thing or another, you still ask, you know, what else could be possible? And I've opened up to so many things because of that. And I think when we are aligning with this kind of like new moon energy, it's a great time because, like I said, each day is building on the previous day with its energy. So that's really important too, that whatever we're thinking of, whatever we are, you know, understanding about ourselves right now is what we're actually lending energy to as it increases too. So we want to make sure that what we want, we are clear with what we want in this time right now, you know, what our heart's desires are, what we want in our life right now, what we're planting right now in this new moon.
Right. That makes me think maybe of drawing a card. Do you have your Work Your Light Oracle handy?
I don't.
Oh,
I have Sacred Destiny, but I don't have.
I was thinking of Work Your Light because it is like a new way of viewing things. Is it something you could get quickly? I just thought it might be fun for you.
Not quickly. I have it in a storage box somewhere.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, we could draw from the Sacred Destiny if you want, or something else. I mean, would you like to draw a card that would maybe help us open to that kind of perspective where anything is possible?
I've got the Angel Tarot, the Sacred Destiny. I've got the Light Seers Tarot and the Hidden Worlds Oracle. I've got also the Inner Child and the Star Tarot. These are all the ones nearby.
Well, what feels like the right thing?
I think the Sacred Destiny is a good one. I think there's such beautiful cards.
Deck. Yeah,
it really is a beautiful deck.
It has a great way of providing an overview, which is what we're seeking also.
Right.
And often, and each card has an image that is meaningful.
Did you have a particular question in mind?
Well, just a card that will support us in opening to a new way of thinking, a new way, and a more inventive, creative way of perceiving.
I had a jumper card. I chose Happiness.
That's interesting. That was the one actually in our class. We have an archangels, and oracles course now, and this was the card that came up, and it has been somehow, and I don't know if this has been happening for you, Gretchen, but for Philip and me, just whatever we ask, it seems like one part of the answer that seems to be running through just about everything is joy or happiness. I mean, you can look at
Right.
them as being
Right. I
interchangeable.
love how it has like the almost a cloudless sky, and you can really see the sun, almost the full sun, which is, the lightest source, and these
Mm-hmm.
beautiful dolphins, which to me always equate with playfulness. They have dolphins actually have a really strong communication capability among their pod, and they actually can speak not only in sonar, but they believe that dolphins within the same pod can communicate telepathically, that they actually
Mm-hmm.
send brain signals out to other dolphins, and they can warn them of danger or where there's food. But this is interesting because they're leaping, and so it's like leaping into the unknown, to me, and
Mm-hmm.
just all the beautiful soft colors and the beautiful bright sun, which is, the
It
light of
is really
source kind
beautiful.
of
Yeah.
supporting everything. So
Yeah.
happiness.
Colors almost like a rainbow.
Mhm.
Would you like to read what it says in the book about it? And
Absolutely.
this is I I have no reason to advertise a Sacred Destiny Oracle. Um, it is, I'm just saying, because I value it so highly, and everyone pretty much who I've asked about it or who tells me how they've responded, it um, really enjoys it. And you'll see the way
Hmm.
that each card is presented. There's a description of a landscape or a scene, a scenario, which is we have this one. And then the Sacred Destiny wants you to know, you know,
Hmm.
and it has a personalized message with it too. And they're always, I just find them having that first part that actually connects it somehow with nature and everything like that is just, to me, it really is. I guess it takes it deeper than something that
Right.
just kind of like the idea that airy, like too much air where you just can't quite grasp it. Even it gives it kind of a framework in a way.
It's beautiful too, because this one says shimmering sunshine, which I think is interesting. So it talks a lot about the sun, how the sun is at the center of our solar system. Our planet and our lives revolve around its cycles of light and dark. And our inner and outer biological rhythms, as well as the rhythms of every animate and inert part of life, are ruled by this celestial force. And traditionally, it's been associated with happiness, joy, enlightenment, illumination, truth, cheer, warmth, and goodwill. And it's an expansive force. So the sun carries the deepest energies of expansion in life. And so it says, so to receive this card is to know that you are expanding. And the sacred landscape wants you to know, it says, click your heels and shout for joy. The signs are with you. Let your light shine. Abounding good luck awaits you. A gateway is opening for even more joy and happiness. Your life is expanding. Opportunities are emerging. This is the time to go forward with glee. Well, that's lovely. That's exactly what we've been talking about too.
Mm-hmm.
Love deeply and fully, embrace life with open arms. Goodness is flowing to you. The only thing to be aware of is to monitor your expansion in a metered way. Too much, too fast can be overwhelming. Well, if that's the only thing you have to worry about, that's pretty good. Oh, darn, too much light, too much sun.
Well, I guess the one thing about it is that you can end up with kind of too much fire. You can get burned.
Absolutely, get too little burnout with it too,
Right.
and you won't integrate it as nicely and as effectively either, because you're not really able to take in anymore. So that's a
Right.
really beautiful card, and I think it does speak a lot with our the moon is associated with the sun as well. The reason the way we see the moon and the way the moon lights up and whatnot is through the sunlight. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really speaking to what we're talking about today, and expanding into that new paradigm, expanding into what it is we want to see happen in our life, taking
Mm-hmm.
that leap. And just like the
Mm-hmm.
dolphins taking that leap, which
Mm-hmm.
may be calculated, but it may also not be real calculated.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Dolphins don't always know where they're going to land in the water, and things may have changed under the surface while they've been out in the sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah. Babs
So,
says this one was perfect. And I agree. It's
happiness, yay.
interesting that idea, embrace life with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is what it's suggesting is embrace this new way of experiencing life
Right,
with open arms. And
right.
um, it is often that evolution of ideas, like
Mhm.
about what life holds for us,
Right.
um, that takes us into new places. So
Right. And the new moon's inviting us to let go those things that are not happiness and joy and,
Right.
positivity and enlightenment. I think that's a good way to shine some light into that, into the shadowy aspect and, figure out what doesn't work, what's keeping us from being in the sunlight, what's keeping us from finding our happiness and joy too. Those are all,
Mm-hmm.
I think, valid at this time with the new moon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. And it always seems to come through. That
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. And you might just if you're watching or listening, just close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself swimming with those dolphins and jumping for joy like they are, having the ability to leap out of the water and just see where that takes you.
Mhm. I can hear them, I can hear them making sounds and calling to each other. It's just very playful and joyful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. At times I have done meditations where I imagine myself being like a dog or being a dolphin. And I've done this like imagining myself being a dolphin in a school of dolphins. And in that place, you were talking about how they are telepathic and how
Mhm.
they can speak. They also, from my experience, they can think collectively.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting just to experiment with something like that, what it's like to be that,
Mhm.
to be able to create a collective vibration of joy, because they are very
Yeah.
joyful.
Yeah. What if they were the mass consciousness? What if that
Right.
was normal for the mass consciousness, was to be in a state of happiness and joy, and
Mm-hmm.
creation, co-creation, and creation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
And it
beautiful.
is fascinating. I'm hoping people who are watching and listening uh, are feeling that joy
Mhm.
just by association. If even if you weren't when we started, um, you might notice when you're in that kind of place of joy, it does feel like there's much more that's possible.
Right.
It's when we get down in the dumps and we start going into doubt and fear and questioning
Mhm.
um, the validity of something that then not much feels possible. It's kind of like, well, this is too difficult. I think I'll just
Mhm.
settle for where I am, which is the tendency in which even I think very spiritual people tend to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, it becomes a default. Yeah.
Yeah, it because this is so difficult trying to be something else. I think I'll just go back to the old.
Mhm.
But I think the thing that's missing often is, well, something new. When you're doing something new, it's inevitably going to create confusion,
Mhm.
because when we don't know, if we don't have a definition for this reality that we're aiming for, then we start wondering, well, how do I get there? I'm not sure what to do here. Um, and what we have discovered is the solution is to have a strategy.
Mhm.
And so you could say part of our strategy right now is that we do a meditation and go to a place where we can experience it as a reality.
Mhm.
So and this is something we do often anyhow, but it's almost like you can never do too much of it. Just imagine ourselves going out into the cosmos where there are no set rules. We're beyond what we know. So if we want to be creative and inventive and think differently and feel different, it's a great place to go.
Mhm.
Um, do you feel like you're ready, Gretchen, for the meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to
And
it.
we're going to also connect with a cosmic archangel. Um, and this is very useful too, because this cosmic archangel can surround us with a vibration of light that will support us in opening to this new way of being, whatever it might be for us. And maybe we don't know what that is even yet. So here we go. So we start by breathing. If you're in a safe place to close your eyes, it's a beautiful time for that. Just turning inward. And again, breathing in the most amazing love and light from the universe, the right light for you. And releasing on the exhale. So letting go of any heaviness or any discordant energy, any energy that doesn't feel good within your body and around your body in that ball of light that is your energy field. So breathing in light and breathing out heaviness. As you're doing this, you can ask for any energy that is not your own to go back where it came from with your intention, sending it back lovingly to other people, other places, other times that have been occupying your awareness. Just send that back with the idea of being more present in your body in this moment. Still breathing in that light. And similarly, asking any energy of your own that you've left in other places with other people in other times. Just ask for it to be brought back to you now. And with these two things, it is highly likely that more of you is present in your body now, which is a good place to begin. So this is, I pretty much always do this to start for myself and in groups. And then from here, we can breathe in lighter energy. And when I really started doing this, going out into the universe, it was inspired by the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, planting the magic seed and having it grow up so tall it went all the way through the clouds, which you could interpret as the atmosphere. And then he just wandered up, wandered up the beanstalk. So we can do something like that. You can imagine yourself wandering up a beanstalk or an elevator or just flowing up beautifully, perfectly and safely up into the sky. And as suggested, actually, popping through the clouds or the atmosphere into that place of freedom. So it is what we're also discussing here is the atmosphere of the mass consciousness. We want to rise up to a place where that no longer is an influence on us and a pressure on our bodies and our energy fields. So here you can open more to the love in your heart. You might be sitting on the cloud or just kind of floating above the clouds, opening to that love you hold in your heart, which is your center. It is the place in you that understands where that pure potential lies, that understands who you are. If you're not, this is always the way I've been, this is who I am. Who are you? Really? We can ask those questions from the heart. So breathing that love into our hearts, we can imagine now drifting up further to a point where we actually perceive ourselves as being out in the cosmos, out amongst the stars. And noticing how quiet it is. And how peaceful it feels. You can fly, you can soar, you can just allow yourself to be floating in air or floating in non-air, just floating in the ethers. Again, letting any heaviness just drop away. Because it is this heaviness that keeps us limited. We want to have something that's like a gentle breeze of fresh air flowing through our whole energy field and through our bodies, through the spaces between matter in our bodies. So it's like if your body was a house, imagine opening up all the windows and allowing this breeze to blow through. Most beautiful, gentle breeze of the ethers. You may notice your thoughts are calmer now. Just notice what you notice. You may feel things or see things or hear things. And now we can invite this magnificent archangel, who is, to me, feels like a really wonderful one for this particular experience. And this is Archangel Orion, who is a cosmic angel. He's not from necessarily our world, he's from other worlds. So we can ask him to surround us with his light. All of the archangels are love, different frequencies of love. So there's nothing to fear. And if you have your doubts, invite Archangel Michael in to protect you from anything that is not right for you, that is not the high energy that Archangel Orion actually represents. So Archangel Orion, his energy is often described as starlight, interestingly, being out in the stars. So we can just imagine surrounding ourselves with this starlight, and again, allowing it to flow through our bodies. There might be sparkles in there that can that can set off little sparks in the cells of our bodies. And allow that. And as you do that, you might notice you start to feel tingling in your body, which is fun. And in your mind, even in your brain. The brain needs a little relaxation too. It particularly needs it, really. Again, just to let go of those old ways of thinking. And Archangel Orion, he is known as kind of like the genie of the archangels, meaning your wish is my command. So whatever we wish for, whatever we decide we want to create in this time of creative energy, inventive, supportive energy for creating something new, he's here to support us in making that possible. So you might think of just one thing that you would like to create in your life. Can be small, can be big, and just ask Archangel Orion to send the perfect vibration of energy to support that. And it might include a message from Archangel Orion too. He might have a suggestion for you of how that could occur. So just pay attention, listen, feel, open your inner vision. Notice what you notice. Gretchen, would you like to share what you're noticing?
Yes, I feel like when we do these meditations or we come out into outer space, I feel more expanded. I feel like my being is larger than my normal human size, and it just feels really expansive. And when I was seeing Orion, I saw him as the constellation and his belt, all lit up
right.
and in the sky. And it's where I often look in the sky. It's kind of how I orient myself, is to find Orion's belt when I'm looking at stars at night. And I just felt like his presence too was just growing and expanding out. And to me, it just means to think larger, just start expanding out from what my little 3D consciousness is trying to wrap my brain around, but actually to expand out. And I think those times when you were saying like relax your mind, or our mind needs a pause or it needs a break from time to time, that's part of that feeling of expansiveness to me. It's not so much ideas flowing in as it is just a like an energy concept where I feel like my energy field is expanding out into more possibility. And yeah, I just feel like it's very expansive. That word just keeps coming into my mind right now. And it feels very peaceful. It feels very quiet and peaceful.
Right.
And as I am expanding I am allowing more possibilities into my realm of understanding, essentially, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And I know you focus on light language and light codes also. And what I'm sensing is that he's telling us that he can deliver light codes. In other words, provide an activation for us, which doesn't always happen.
Right. Right.
I think if you're willing and open to that, we can just invite that activation of light codes. And Gretchen, if you have any comments or anything you'd like to add to that as we do this, feel free. I'm just going to invite in those light codes, and you can feel them coming in through the top of your head. I feel them coming into your heart and through all of your being. We're just open to experiencing this. I just perceived that he sent a big like a big delivery of joy again. Just again reiterating that. It's like, oh, here it is. Joy.
Right. I
Did
feel
you
like
feel that?
yeah, I did actually. And I felt like it in my solar plexus, and I could kind of feel it all up and down my spinal column too. I feel like part of it too, in our willingness to expand more, is that, we get very restricted to our human life on this planet, and with the finiteness of life and everything that, may feel finite at times. This is a reminder that we're more than just being human in a human body. We have this divine spark that is part of that expansive state that we can grow into. And I feel like it's just a reminder from him saying, don't forget that there's more to you than just what you're perceiving in your everyday life. There is an expansion that is available to you all the time, but you just need to expand into that. You need to kind of rise above what you know as a human and just open up to what else is possible for you in the universe. And that divine spark connects us to the angels. It connects us to source, to God, goddess, divinity, however you perceive it. And
Right.
I
We
feel
are
like
creators because the creator resides in us, in this divine.
Right. So to stop thinking small, I think, is part of it too. I that came into my mind is this: there's so much more than what you're perceiving in your everyday world. Just allow yourself to expand beyond that and expand into that divine spark that's in you. That we say spark as if it's very small and tiny, but it's actually a very large part of our soul work, is to expand into that further.
Right. And something that I've been working with myself, I had no intention actually of sharing this today, but he's suggesting it would be valuable. I just last week, very recently, I decided I was going to connect with Archangel Orion for every day in 60 days, with that focus on opening more to that creative spirit and being a creator, to the point where it could shift my DNA. And this actually is possible. We can shift our DNA, which is the greatest place for us to be in, to be able to embrace those things that we want that aren't natural for us now. Because our DNA, the sequences in our DNA are predetermining a lot of things for us that may not suit us at all right now.
Right. Right.
So it's something to consider, just spending a little time every day coming up to visit Archangel Orion. He might send light codes, he might send energy. Just ask him what's right for the day, and with a focus of raising your vibration to a place where you can really connect with that inventive, creative spirit in you and bring that fully into who you are. It is repetition is generally quite valuable. One time, like, this is a great experience, no doubt. But if you do something like this every day, even if it's just coming up for 5 minutes and bathing yourself in this energy, what might be possible? Who knows? For now, it just feels like such a blessing.
Mm. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The energy feels like starlight. It feels like it's just
right.
it's filling our beings with starlight. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reach for the stars. You know,
right.
so many sayings around that, you know.
Mm-hmm. The other part I like with that is they are within your grasp.
Mm. Absolutely.
So with that, for now, it's time to return to our normal place and to a waking state. It doesn't have to be the same old waking state. And we can thank Archangel Orion, Archangel Michael, all of the beings of light who are supporting us. And I know there are many more around us right now. We can thank them and start drifting peacefully, beautifully, perfectly back down, all the way through that environment, through the clouds, down into the atmosphere. And you might feel that shift, what it feels like, what the pressure that your body is under when you enter into the atmosphere of the mass consciousness, because we're subject to that all the time when we're here, which is why it's not the state that we are wanting to achieve is not natural for us. It's not the easiest thing to do. But if we can change our DNA, who knows? So now sitting where you're sitting or resting and placing your feet firmly on the ground, sending love to Mother Earth, feeling that deep, deep connection with her, and receiving love back coming up from the earth. Then again, breathing in that more active energy, returning to your normal waking state, which is, we're talking about just brain waves. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Oh, good. Time is as good still.
I wanted to stay there for a long time.
Right.
I love it. It's so peaceful and quiet when I visualize it. It's lovely.
Right. Yeah. And Sharon's here. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Nice to see you. So, what did you think of the light codes? That was new.
That's really beautiful. I love just taking time and you know, taking those moments just to do that, because I feel like there is something about receiving that energy that it feels like it's very universal for all of us, but yet so unique to each of us at the same time. That's what's so beautiful about it. It's
Can you explain for people maybe if they don't know what light codes are?
right. So, well, there's a lot of information about it online that, you know, I'm by far an expert, but my understanding of it is we were talking before about the particle and the wave. So a lot of information that we receive is in the particle form, but when we are receiving it from the higher dimensions, higher than the third dimension which we live in, essentially it is transformed into a wave, and that information is delivered to us kind of like I see it kind of like as a packet of information that we receive from the
Right.
higher realms
Mm-hmm.
that comes through to us, and we each have the ability to channel that. Some may never awaken to that in their life, some people do. If you're somebody that already works with light codes, and you probably have an understanding of that, but for the most part, what it does is it can actually, you receive it either, there's many different ways to express it and to receive it. Some people speak it, some people receive it through their art. They're able to express it through
Mm-hmm.
their art.
Yes.
Some people
Beautiful.
sing, you
Yeah.
know, they might feel like they're receiving information, and then they sing it, they express it through singing, and so on. And so it can either be in a human language, or it can be in a language that's somewhat unknown, but yet we essentially become fluent in the more that we channel it. And what it does is it can actually activate what many believe are the dormant DNA strands. Essentially, we have capability of having up to 12 DNA strands. We right now have only awakened 2, which is our double helix. And so what it does is it actually can activate different parts of your double helix DNA that maybe is not activated right now. And they can actually
Mm-hmm.
prove that through science. There are markers where some people's DNA, they can actually see it in the DNA where it's not activated, it's not useful right now, maybe to you. But as we connect more with the higher dimensions, and we connect more with higher beings of light, and those that are acting in accordance with the divine plan of love, we can actually open ourselves up to a lot more and use that energy and those messages to expand more into our soul consciousness. So it's a really deep subject on many levels, but
Mm-hmm.
it's becoming more and more it's more and more popular now than it ever has been, but it's also because more people are awakening to their own personal ascension process. And the more that we can do that, the more we allow light to come into our being, into our bodies, and into our energy field, the more quickly we can transmute some of the dark, shadowy aspects of ourselves into light. And what it broadly teaches, I think the most important thing is that everything in the universe is light. It's light and sound. Even sound
Mm-hmm.
is a form of light energy. So even me talking right now, you know, that's a form of light. Um, but the messages are generally beautiful, and we may not essentially hear words all the time. We may actually feel sensations in our body as it's coming into our being and helping to anchor into our being. And it always comes from higher beings. It's never coming from a dark entity or something that's negative. It's always a positive, loving energy that floods our body and our energy field with this information and packets of information to help us in our ascension process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Sorry, that
So,
was kind of hard to say in a nutshell, but that's, you know,
well, that was a
yeah.
beautiful description. It was
Okay,
interesting. You
good.
started by suggesting at first, well, I don't know much about this, but and
Right.
you do.
Yeah, I guess I do know more about it than I've been working with it for a few years now, and it's
Right.
becoming more and more normalized, I guess, in my life.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's part of this, all of this experience is that we want, um, and what we're doing in the circle and what we do in our teachings, I think both of
Right,
us too,
right,
is about
right,
expanding your perception of what is part of your reality. Like all of this
right,
can be part of your daily reality. And I
right,
sense
right.
that Archangel Orion was encouraging everyone here to visit
Hmm.
every day and
Hmm.
receive those packets of
Right,
light,
right. That's what I
and
feel like. It's universal, but yet it's uniquely coded to each of us too at the same
right.
time, which is really the amazing, miraculous part of it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Babs said thank you. And she said, great
Thank you.
explanation,
Thank you.
Gretchen. Hard to get that one out.
Right, right. Yeah. So it takes many forms. I think that's the most beautiful thing about it, is it takes so many different creative forms to bring
Mm-hmm.
that information in. And some people resonate more with artwork. Some people resonate more with the speaking or the singing. Some people resonate just with resonant sound, like you would have in a sound bath or a sound healing. It can be really expressed through instruments as well. So there's
Mm-hmm.
lots of different ways to receive it. And I think
Yeah. And
what's
the
interesting,
codes, I think what we
right?
did I was seeing symbols coming in.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
you might see that kind of thing
Mhm.
coming in, that
Right.
is affecting you in a certain way
Mm.
that you may
Right.
not understand, and you don't have to understand them.
Right, right. That's the hardest thing, and it's really a good lesson in surrendering to what's going, surrendering to what is and just trusting it, because your logical mind, that's the last thing you really want to engage is your logical mind,
Right.
because we're not meant to decipher it and translate it and all of that. Now, sometimes you will just inadvertently because you understand the energy that's coming in, but that's not really the purpose of it. The purpose is just to open and receive it so that it can help stimulate more light, essentially, and open you up to more light in your being. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that I certainly felt that that was happening. Yeah, that was really wonderful. I'm so grateful to Orion.
me too. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. So there's an opportunity for anyone who wants to take it.
Yeah.
It is, I think, also just the preparation that we did by releasing energy, like
Mm-hmm.
bringing ourselves more fully into our bodies and then going up,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the whole idea of going up as an archetypal kind of um, energy is, it does do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we use it, Philip and I, we use it with clients all the time, very regularly, because magic happens. It's kind of like, this whole thing, this scenario down on Earth, uh, it's gone.
Yeah.
There are new ways of viewing things
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I encourage the whole thing. And we are coming very close to the end of our time. This has been so much fun. Um, Bab says, I will join you, Jane, for these 60 days, inviting Archangel or inviting Orion in on a daily basis.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if nothing else, you feel good.
Right.
Of course, feeling
Absolutely.
good is going to change. If you do
Mhm.
it enough, it's going to change your DNA.
Absolutely.
It's scientifically that's been shown to be true. And 60
Absolutely. Yeah.
days has something to do with it. Um, I definitely am not an expert in that, but I just thought I was going to play with it. And that's a good way to do it. Play with it.
Yeah.
Not try it, or,
Right. Yeah.
just play with it.
Yeah,
Just
exactly. See what
right.
works for you. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's
Yeah.
another thing that, along with joy, another thing that keeps coming up in my meditations and readings, we do readings so much, is magical child,
Hmm.
inviting that magical
Hmm.
child who's just like, don't you know, you
Right.
can go up there.
Right. Right.
Everything is possible for the magical child.
That
It's your
wonder.
inner child.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a state of wonder.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful way to approach it too. And that's the way all of the light codes should be approached. And when we put ourselves in that beautiful, heartfelt space, that's when we're going to receive the most information. And because we're aligned with that vibration, it really is about resonance and vibration.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Jocelyn is here. She said, thank you, Jane and Gretchen. Thank you for being here, Jocelyn.
thank you.
Um, so we are right almost at the top of the hour. We need to all be um, validating that this energy that we have received is radiating out to the world, because it does, whether you ask it to or not. But we can intentionally send it wherever we want it to go, as I invite Gretchen to let people know how they can connect more with you.
Oh, thank you. So people can connect with me here on Facebook under Gretchen Comer or Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Spiral Star Light Language. I also am available on Instagram. And of course, my website is spiraljourney.net. And it's a great place to connect with me. I love meeting new people. And yeah, so if you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Just reach out and we'll start a good conversation.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
And for us at Awakenings Institute, this coming week we have a new course in our coaching program, our ongoing 1 year long coaching program. It's starting this coming week. It's a holistic spiritual coaching and healing program with very deep healing things like I was talking about with pure potential. Many, many ways to deepen the healing processes you use. And the URL is tinyurl.com/HOLCOACH, full coach, HOLCOACH. So if you're interested, feel free to visit and see what we're offering. We can talk to you. Philip sets up time to talk to people about it. So you'd be welcome, certainly, to inquire. And with that, I just want to also mention you can support the circle by following our page on Facebook, facebook.com/awakenings circle. That's an awakening with an S, awakening circle. You can share this video with your friends on Facebook. And if you go to Awakening Circle, which is Awakening Circle of Love and Light on Facebook, it's easier to find the video than for those who are joining us from Enlightened World Network, which is a beautiful, wonderful community we're part of. It's hard to find videos after a day or so because there are so many things happening there. It's easy to find it on our page. So you can share it with your friends. Also, you can invite your friends to join you in the circle. And then you have something very new. If you had friends here today, there'd be something very new to talk about probably. So again, thank you for being with us. The final thing we do is send this joy, this pure potential out to the week ahead, the love, all of it. And then when you go there, it'll be there for you. So have a wonderful week, everybody.
Bye.